the Instagram stories for Wednesday, June 5th. I'm your host, Daniel Hill. Let's start with some TikTok news. First, if you are not aware, the U.S. Senate recently voted to force TikTok to be sold into U.S. ownership or face a national ban due to security concerns around the app. TikTok has gone on record as saying they will not sell to a US-based company, and this is essentially a ban of the app. However, Reuters is reporting that TikTok is working on a clone of its recommendation algorithm, and that the result could be a version of the app that operates independently of its Chinese parent company and would potentially be more palatable to US lawmakers who are trying to ban it. This work on splitting the source code ordered by TikTok's Chinese parent ByteDance late last year actually predated the whole conversation around the US Senate's bill to force a sale of TikTok's US operations. The sources that Reuters got this information from were granted anonymity because they are not allowed to speak publicly about the short-form video sharing app. But they did say that once the algorithm is split into a US version and a potentially non-US version, it could lay the groundwork for a divestiture of the US assets, although there are no current plans to do that. TikTok publicly declined to comment. However, after the story was published by Reuters, TikTok said in a posting on Twitter, also known as X, quote, "The Reuters story published today is misleading and factually inaccurate," end quote, but they didn't specify exactly what was inaccurate. TikTok also posted a passage from its federal lawsuit where it said, quote, "The qualified divestiture demanded by the act to allow TikTok to continue operating in the United States is simply not possible, not commercially, not technologically, not legally, and certainly not on the 270-day timeline required by the act," end quote. I will link to this article in the show notes so that you can check it out for yourself. Very interesting that Reuters got this exclusive and TikTok immediately tried to say that it was inaccurate. In other news, if you are interested in beginning to use TikTok and you're a small business, TikTok has published a marketing kit for small businesses. It includes 3 things designed to help you maximize the impact of your organic and paid content on the app. Inside the kit, they can include, number 1, a TikTok Fundamentals for Small Business Guide, which is basically a step-by-step to get started on TikTok and explains essential principles that you need to know. The second thing they include is a TikTok Creative Made Simple Guide, which helps you build strong, result-driven content. And the third thing, TikTok Creative Codes, which is a document that has advanced strategies to elevate your content to the next level. I will link to how you can download the entire toolkit for free so that you can get it and read through and start taking advantage of it. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to dive into some Instagram news and share a little bit of information about how long you should wait to respond to comments and why. So stick around. Oh, hey, welcome back. Let's dive into the Instagram news and let's start with some really bad news. According to various reports, Instagram is currently testing a new video ad format that stops users from scrolling in the main feed of the app until they viewed a video ad. I will link to screenshots of what this looks like, but basically Instagram's new in-feed ad appears with a timer at the bottom, and you can't scroll past the ad until the timer runs down. There's a little explainer that says you're seeing an ad break. Ad breaks are a new way of seeing ads on Instagram. Sometimes you may need to view an ad before you can keep browsing. Let's just stop and think about this for a second. This is a terrible idea. Of course, I recognize that businesses exist to make money. I totally get that. However, as I recently covered on my show, Instagram makes more money than YouTube because of ads. And on YouTube, you have the opportunity to block ads if you want. I use uBlock Origin and I don't see ads on YouTube and I'm happier for it. On Instagram, it's a lot harder to block ads, especially if you use iOS. Sure, on Android, you can use Instaander, which I've had great success with, or other similar type apps. But this creates a very bad experience. There are already enough ads on Instagram. Why do we need more? Well, it's because someone at the top wants more money. That's ultimately what it comes down to. Capitalism, am I right? In other news, Instagram has announced some updates to broadcast channels. If you're not familiar, broadcast channels are similar to an email subscriber list, except within the Instagram DMs. And so really, only huge fans of your content would necessarily join your broadcast channel, because then they would get notified every time you posted something to that broadcast channel. Instagram has announced a couple of updates to broadcast channels that I think are important. The first is that you can go live exclusively with channel members so that you have an opportunity to connect with your most loyal fans in a more intimate space. And then you have the opportunity to recognize your most loyal fans by giving shoutouts and exclusive access to these live streams that you do. I personally have not gone live in a really long time because it's not as exciting as it used to be. But if you have a very devoted community who are really interested in your content, going live just for them is a great added bonus for being one of your followers. There are other things that Instagram added, for instance, the ability to create a custom theme within your broadcast channel by using an image that you choose and then deciding which emojis your community can react with and hiding emojis that don't fit with your community at all, for instance. You can also create a QR code that you can print out or share that takes fans right to your broadcast channel to join. I will link to the @creators account post with all these updates so you can check it out for yourself. Moving on, do you remember on the last episode of this show, I talked about how Instagram was discouraging engagement that involved comments with a single word or a number or an emoji? After they posted that, they took it down, but I put the audio clip anyway so that you would have a chance to hear it. Well, they have since revised that clip, and here's the revised version.
Hey everyone, I'm Rico from Instagram. Here are the things to avoid that can limit the reach of your content. First, don't try to hack engagement. And here's what we mean by that. If we believe your content explicitly asks for engagement through shares, comments, tags, or other actions, then we won't recommend it. An example of this is asking people to comment with a specific word, number, or emoji. We do, however, encourage you to create content that inspires people to engage in real discussion. So open-ended questions and call to actions, they're both fair game. Next, ditch the watermark. Third-party logos or watermarks on your reels might be impacting its reach. It's totally fine to watermark your own content with your handle, but what we don't want is visibly recycled content from other apps. Next, don't repost content that is already on Instagram, since content that we detect as reposted might see its reach reduced across places where we recommend content to users. Remember to consider ideal reels length too. We recommend videos that are 90 seconds or less, and we find that the sweet spot for engagement is with reels between 30 to 90 seconds. Lastly, make sure your content follows our recommendation guidelines, which are rules about the type of content Instagram will and won't recommend to non-followers. We avoid recommending content that may be objectionable, sensitive, or inappropriate.
By the way, I tagged ManyChat in this post, and I tagged the CEO of ManyChat, Mike Yan, asking for input from the ManyChat team, and I did not see any comments about that. I don't know why, but I didn't get any response. And lastly, let's do a quick Adam Mosseri clip. He posted a comment that someone had written to him where they said, quote, "You are telling us to wait before engaging, but you have always said to engage when you post, so it pushes out your content." So it seems like the person is asking, why are you telling us to wait before engaging, but also engage as soon as you post? These two statements are conflicting. Here's Adam's answer to when you should reply to comments on posts and why.
So this question is because I often say it's important to engage in your comments, and here I actually posted a video recently saying if you get a lot of heat in your comments, you might want to wait an hour or so before getting into your comments so we have more time to rank the most aggressive, usually early comments down lower in your comments. Now, these things are a little bit of intention, but I do think it's still good to engage. Just wait a little while before you engage. Only if you get a lot of heat in your comments and you want to have a more pleasant experience, because we can rank down aggressive comments that don't violate our community guidelines more after an hour or two, and there are more comments to rank than we can do right away. And the people who tend to comment with the most aggressive things tend to do it the quickest. At least that's my experience. But again, you should only engage with your comments if you feel like it helps you to do so. I think it can help, but it is a nice to have, not a must do.
Okay, that is going to do it for today's episode. As always, I appreciate you listening. Check out the show notes for links to everything that I described. And if you have suggestions on how I can improve the show, send me a direct message. I'm really just trying to make this better for all of you who listen. Okay, rap song time.
Let me tell you a couple things that you should know about me. A product manager but do not have a bachelor's degree. But actually that's factually a fraction of me. Another fraction's posting content irregular and irrationally. Still probably won't get a job at the Gram. They forgot, they don't know, or don't care who I am. That's why you never see me at the parties and events. My lack of followers must make me irrelevant. Don't have a course, a book to sell to make a bag of grand. Not a social media marketer, don't represent any brands. Plain to see, don't have an agency, but I got a lot of spam. Just putting in my work, without the glitz and glam. Won't catch me eating fish, unless it's shrimp or clam. No six pack, no risk that, there's a gym card in my hand. Don't have a full-time job, but I got a lot of plans. Stay plotting, dropping knowledge on TikTok and Instagram.